Luckily for us in Jordan, people still very much value a glossy. There's a sentimental value and like almost a real romantic relationship between a reader and their magazine. So basically the goal of the website is to just, broaden our audience, introduce new markets, try to put, Jordan on the map in terms of like lifestyle and literary accomplishments. Okay, so what we're all about. The thing about Living Well is we cater to an audience that has been there, done that, is not very easy to impress. So the last thing we want to do is try to say something that's been said over and over again and bore our audience. If we want to talk about politics, they can probably get it from like, the New York Times. If we want to talk about fashion, they're probably looking at Vogue. If we want to talk about cooking, well, they're probably looking at Fatafit or Martha Stewart. So what we try to do is repackage whatever information is out there in a way that is relatable and easy to kind of grab onto, or we try to come up with an angle that our readers haven't been able to identify in these other outlets. All of our exposés are very original, and the way an exposé works is kind of like how you guys would start a conversation at a party. You need to find out what people are interested to hear in, what people are really talking about, and then you need to come up with a topic that will really bring them in and grab their attention. So let's say there is a high incidence of AIDS and drug abuse in Malaysia. Sure, that's probably a big topic there, but it's not really something that people here are interested to hear about. So looking at the audience today, maybe you guys are confused about what you want to do with the rest of your lives. So a good expose for this crowd would be, talking to 5 different kids to see what they're good at school versus what they want to do with the rest of their lives in university. Maybe see if they're under any pressure from their parents, if the school is supporting them in making the right decisions. And that would be something that you guys would be more interested to read about, hopefully. A huge segment of our magazine is dedicated to what we like to call women of today. So if you look at our covers, of course we do have celebrities, and celebrities are people that are currently in the news. So let's say if we want to talk about, who should be on our November cover, we might say, well, the 3rd installation of The Hunger Games is coming out, maybe we'll do Jennifer Lawrence. But we also like to talk about interesting women in other fields. So we've had athletes, we've had politicians' wives, we've had musicians, we've had fashion designers, anyone who has a really good story. Because we all come in all different shapes and sizes, there's no one size fits all, and we like to inspire as many people as possible. And last but not least, we really pride ourselves on our relatable fashion. So again, lots of trends out there, they probably work in certain markets and they don't work here. So what we try to do is learn more about our audience again and offer them style tips that they can actually wear. So if she's a 35-year-old mother who drives her kids to school, maybe no leather hot pants and a crop top. If she is a young girl going to university, maybe no trouser suits. So it's just really important to try to find trends that matter to the audience that we're communicating with. Okay, I'll just go really fast. So that's me. To make this more interesting, as I go through the presentation, you're going to see all of our staff members, inshallah, and then if you have any questions about any of them, I'd be more than happy to answer them. So being the editor-in-chief, it's a lot of fun. It's not always easy. Basically, I think the #1 skill you have to have is an ease of communication. Working in a magazine, you're working with some of the most creative people in the country. Creative people have high attachments to their product. They have put a lot of themselves into their work. So it's all about just hearing what the the contributor has to say and seeing whether or not it works or fits well with the flow of the magazine. In the magazine, we have a saying, there's no such thing as good writing or bad writing. It's either living well writing or it isn't, which basically means we've been able to identify a formula that really captures the audience's attention. And basically, we request that all of our writers try to communicate accordingly. So we decide on magazine content, and it's kind of like something that you've seen on TV. Everyone will be on their laptop. Everyone will probably be reading the latest news. And people will just start shouting ideas and, talking about what's going on in the world and whether or not, we can actually work it into the magazine. So a story that's making headlines, I guess, in the US right now is Donald Sterling. He is the manager of a basketball or football team called the Clippers, and he made some racist comments. And it's all over the news, and it's all over the talk shows. And I found myself thinking, who's Donald Sterling and why do we care? So a story like that probably wouldn't be interesting to our local audience, but which is why we have to work on something that, you know, people here would actually find more exciting. Another part of the job is a lot of PR. I have to attend functions and events, kind of like this. A lot of our magazine, well, part of the magazine actually depends on our advertisers and our clients. So we have to go support their products, support their events, talk to the owners, see what's going on, see how we can work on future collaborations, and so on. I'll get into that bottom part later. So this is our art director. Her name is Hiba Qaddumi. She's been with us for 6 or 7 years. Basically, an art director is in charge of determining how your end product looks. So each magazine, each website, each blog has a certain layout, a certain format that has been designed and you know, worked on by the art director. So if you're creating a magazine for, let's say, Jordan Business, you probably want cleaner lines, less images, more text. If you want something for Living Well, you need a more dynamic or interactive product where, you know, you have like a healthy amount of pictures and maybe a little less text to keep your audience engaged all the way up to the end. Reading is very important. I read a statistic, that the average Arab only reads a total of 6 hours in his entire life. So that is a mission we are slowly but surely trying to change. We figure if we can just, you know, keep you engaged, get you past the first page, you will continue to read that article, inshallah. I don't know how technical you guys want me to get, but if you're looking for a career in graphic design, you need to identify the fonts that work and the fonts that people usually enjoy reading the most. So she taught me this before I got here. All fonts are sans serif, which means that, all titles are sans serif, which means that they are not framed. However, in the body of the article, they actually use something called serif fonts. So these serif fonts make it easier for people to actually read the document. You might think, well, why isn't your magazine purple? It's been scientifically determined that people read better when it's black text on white paper. So sometimes it's just science. And she also plays up an article's best features. So what that means is, let's say we're doing something about the top 10 athletes, female athletes. We had one like that recently, actually, the top 10 female athletes. The pictures that she would need to use are obviously pictures of the women doing sports, but she would also have to choose pictures where the women look good. Maybe not the one where she's sweating or trembling or shaking just a bit, kind of like I am right now. Okay, this is our editor. Her name is Amira. Amira has been with us for like a couple of years now, and she is the voice of truth. Amira's job, or any editor's job, is to basically make sure that the magazine is consistent, has a nice homogeneous flow. I'm sure you guys get these comments all of the time in your English papers, or even if you're doing reports for history or other subjects. You need to make sure that the subject-verb agreement is there, all of your commas are there. You need to make sure that you have your best sentences in the beginning of the article. You need to draw them in. You need to compile a convincing argument. So this is basically Amira's job. She brings in the article, she makes sure all of the information is there, and then she tries to repackage it in a way that does the article justice. She's also, Amira is a die-hard feminist, so she's always writing the stories that matter. She talks a lot about, let's say, the future of orphans in Amman. She'll talk about custody laws and ugly divorces. She'll talk about how hard it is or how easy it is for some students to get into an Ivy League university and what it takes. Okay, fashion editors. So I'm lucky enough to have 2 fashion editors. The girl on the right is Kamila Azzuddin, and the girl on the left is Nadia Hash Hassan. So if you'll notice, from the pictures, they both have like their own style and their own vibe. And I always feel that this is very important to have more than one taste or more than one look in the magazine to make sure that you cater to all different temperaments and styles out there. Basically, they're in charge of coming up with a story for the fashion shoot every month. So let's say the World Cup is coming out, I think next month, is it? We probably have some pages in there that are more athletic inspired, which is also a huge trend this year. They also have to come up with the fashion content of the magazine, so they will come up with themes for the magazine. So a theme for this audience would probably be like high school drama, the top 10 things you can wear at school without actually breaking your uniform code. So maybe there's a bracelet there. I don't know if you're allowed to wear them. Maybe instead of wearing black shoes, you can get away with Converse. I'm not sure what the rules are. But, you know, stuff like that. PR and liaising with the fashion community. So Amman now has this huge, ever-growing fashion community that you may not know about. We have tons of bloggers, tons of people who are putting themselves out there and putting their own, taste and ideas onto paper or online for other people to get inspired by. So we all often try to collaborate with these girls because they're out there, they're in the market, they're moving around, and try to get ideas from them. Writer, Tala is our newest addition to the team, and she's 21, which means if you graduate quick and fast, you could find a job with us. She's very happy, and we're very happy with her. So the magazine has a lot of regular sections, a lot of columns, like travel pieces, calendars, and she's in charge of writing all of that. So basically the idea of living well is to have this one source that you can just roll up, put into your backpack, and take with you everywhere and be entertained whatever kind of mood you're in. So Tala takes care of like the lighter aspects of the content. Of course, we have like photographers and photo editors. The column is not small because they're like small jobs. These are actually very important jobs because in addition to writing in a magazine, you have to place pictures in a magazine. So they spend all of their time, kind of like that guy, Bashar, what's his name? Yeah, like Bashar. They have to like kind of jump in there, capture the picture, take a good picture, delete the not so great ones, and then maybe send it on to the photo editing team to, let's say, treat the image. So let's say if my skirt is wrinkled, or I don't know why I have like something black here, they would have to edit that out of the shot for me. Okay, so a huge part of the magazine, actually the major part of the magazine, and this is where it gets a bit sad, is beyond like attracting your readers and beyond, making sure that you talk about the stories that matter. The number one thing you need to do is to sell your magazine. So a director of sales and marketing is also a very big and very challenging job in our organization. You have to go out there, you have to identify people who are looking to advertise in the magazine, you have to look for people who would be willing to work with the magazine to kind of financially invest in the magazine, because like globally speaking, 98% of any print publications revenue comes from direct advertising and sales. It's not from how many copies we actually sell on the stand or how many issues that are released bil maktabah. It's how many investors and advertisers we can get in. So at 98%, it's a lot of PR, it's a lot of research. Times are tough. People are a little bit more hesitant to invest their money now. So what we try to do is to come up with creative ideas and ways for them to invest their funds, but to get more for their money. So instead of just doing a standard like ad, we might do a photo shoot, we might do an interview, we might do a recipe page, stuff like that. Okay, so how a magazine works. A magazine is just like probably the same way you guys would write an essay for assignment. Your teacher gives you a word count and she gives you the guidelines. And no matter how excited and how passionate you are about your concept, if your teacher says 900 words, you guys have 900 words and you can't go over. And I don't know if they do this in your school, but back in my school, they would literally cross out whatever was written after like the final word count.
For us, the ad to content ratio is what determines the size of the magazine. So let's say we have 15 amazing ideas. We have to stick to a ratio, which is 40% ads to 60% content. What that means is, in order for the magazine to succeed financially, we have to make sure that for every 4 ads, we have like 6 pages of content. We can do less, but we certainly can't do more because it's not financially feasible. So sometimes that's a bit restricting. Like in Ramadan, you have 1,000 things we want to say. We want to talk about how to stay healthy, or what to do when you're bored, or maybe, take a trip down, spirituality lane. But we can't incorporate all of these articles just because of the nature of the market, fewer people are advertising in these seasons. We have something called a flat plan. So a flat plan is basically it's your magazine map. So we have a giant piece of paper, which literally says like page 1, an ad for Time Center. Page 15, editor's letter. Page 34, expose on, eating disorders in 2014. And this map will make it easier for you and your sales team and your creative team to know what's going on. So when in doubt, we always refer to our flat plan. Any magazine, I don't know if you've ever looked, I wish we had the copies with us. So if you turn a magazine over and you look at the side of it, it looks like there are tiny stacks of paper bunched together. This is a standard format for what a magazine is supposed to look like. Each bunch is 16 pages long. So to determine the final number of pages in the magazine, we have to work in multiples of 16. What we do is we export, which means we ship off the magazine to the printers, and then they send us back the samples or the proofs, which we go over one more time. We need to check that the color is there. Sometimes certain fonts fly off the page. Sometimes, a picture might be shifted. For us at the office, we strongly believe that there is a ghost living in one of our computers who tends to sabotage our end product right before we go to print. So we always rely on the exporting process just to catch any last mistakes that we have. Okay, so what it takes to work at a magazine. And really in this section, it's what it takes to exceed in any field. So you guys can just replace the word magazine with whatever you see. Embrace your superpower. So I know you guys are growing up now, and you have a lot on your minds, and there are lots of times when you might be questioning what it is that you want to do or who it is that you want to be. But deep down inside, when no one else is looking, I'm sure every single one of you knows that you have this one thing that you are really good at. So even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else, this is something that you need to cherish and focus on and try to channel it into whichever career you decide. For me, before the UN, before pharmacy, before discovering how much I did not like calculus, I was always a good writer. So I held on to that, and I made sure it was always a part of my life until eventually the career found me. Don't complain, make things better. So this is especially true in the magazine, but it works in all other aspects of life. Most people and business models do not succeed because they're too busy focusing on their weaknesses or what can't be done or what's wrong with the system. Instead, you need to focus on the positive. This might sound a bit cheesy, but it really works. You can always, it's very easy to find 110 things wrong with any system, but if you focus on the perks and you kind of cultivate those, advantages, you will come up with a successful product. For us, sometimes we'll send an email to an agent and we really, really want Amanda Seyfried to be on her cover. But Amanda Seyfried's agent is her mom, and her mom doesn't like Jordan, so she won't let us use the cover. So instead of talking about how awful Amanda Seyfried's mom is, we just tried to, use the beautifully written email, tried to come up with another, cover lady and salvage the situation right away. You have to be in love. So, this is so true. You really, 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 really have to have an honest and pure relationship with your product and your job. And it will resonate through everything that you do. If you're passionate, if you're sincere, if you're enthusiastic, if you're thorough, this emotion, this energy will come across, and it's kind of contagious, and it will make other people believe in whatever it is that you believe in at the time. Allow time to play. And inshallah, I heard that school is over on June 12th, is it? Make sure you guys have plenty of time to play. Replenish, rejuvenate, regroup, get out there, do sports, hang out with your friends, surround yourself with people who inspire you, who motivate you, people who you really admire, intelligent people. And it doesn't have to be in a standard book sense. See if there might be a Tata who's a wonderful cook. You might have a best friend who spends quality time with her pets that you really love that relationship. You might be, I don't know, you might hang out with a super athlete. You might just get a summer internship somewhere where everyone else is playing basketball that really matters to you. So make sure that you have an inspiring partner. Push to be better. I'm sure right now عرب يخلص بنزينكم شوي في امتحانات واحد مش طايق بلاش تشوف بس just push it one more time and صدقوني you can reap the results by it. And I think with that, we finished the presentation. This is just how you can reach us, our website, our Instagram, our Facebook page. Like us, follow us, tag us, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Islam Baradi, since you described your relationship with the magazine as a love relationship, and as you all know, a love relationship has a thrill. So what excites you the most about your career?
And the best thing about my career is every month we get to come up with something creative and totally new. And every month we get to see the fruit of our harvest. So at the end of every month, when that magazine comes up and we get to smell it and touch it and distribute it and hear feedback, it keeps that thrill, it keeps that high, and it makes you want to do better. In the magazine business, you're only as good as your last issue. So even if you have 20 successful issues, if your last one was a flop, that'll kind of set the pace for the next one. So you need to make sure that the passion is always there.
Okay, so Ms. Dana, women are in leading roles are sometimes stereotyped as overbearing, domineering, and controlling. How true is this in relation to your position as the Secretary of Chief?
Okay, it's absolutely false. The real way to get people to believe in you and to follow your vision and to help you out is to boost their confidence and to make sure that they understand that their opinions matter and to make it a team effort and a team collaboration. When people know that their opinions are respected and heard, they will automatically step aside and let you make some of the more important decisions. But you should never be a bully. I don't know if you've ever seen The Devil Wears Prada. I'm thinking this generation is a bit too young for that one. Yeah? Okay. So, she's awful, and that's not how it works, and that's not the way to succeed. If you are a bully, you will end up alone and sad and with an unsuccessful product. So no, we're not domineering. We need all the help we can get, and we have moments of nervousness too.
Since you graduated with a bachelor's degree in policy and then moved on to the journalism and business, to what extent do you think do you consider yourself as someone that can manage between business and journalism at the same time?
Oh, well, I think I learned a lot along the way, and the creative side of me is always battling with the business side because the creative side always wants bigger budgets, more models, more ideas, and the business side is what keeps you grounded. So last year, I went back to school myself. I took a mini MBA course, and I kind of brushed up on my business and marketing skills. So hopefully, anything I lacked before, I think I'm ready now. Except for Excel sheets. Please focus on Excel sheets. They want to get harder.
Okay, you might be getting this question a lot, but can you describe a day in your life as an engineer?
Sure. It's the first thing I need to put out there is it's not that glamorous. We don't walk around in poofy skirts, and we don't have racks and racks of clothes that we can try on, and we don't have supermodels walking in and out of the office. Basically, what happens is I wake up, I have a mug of coffee. The minute you walk in the door, salespeople are usually right behind you, nagging, how do we support a certain client and how do we make their products more relevant to the magazine. I go inside, a couple of phone calls. I have my creative team, they all sit there, they shout out ideas, they tell me what needs to be done. We kind of come up with a schedule for the day, and then I kind of have to hit the door again, either to come to cool events like this one, or not so cool events that I won't get into details for. End of the day, go back to the office, make sure everyone's done their homework, kind of have to take care of a few administrative issues, and then I always make sure to leave at 5, I walk my dog, and then hang out with friends, do whatever it is that relaxes me.
Since your job is demanding and you go out under constant pressure, what hobbies do you usually do, not after work, in your life in general? What hobbies do you have?
Okay, I'm a huge travel junkie. Even if I can't actually board the plane and go somewhere, I am obsessed with luxury hotels and exotic destinations, so I'm always online researching and planning that perfect holiday. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Nini knows about that. We were supposed to go to Rome and that didn't work. So other than that, I try to embrace a healthy lifestyle. I make sure that I get some exercise. It's always important to connect with friends and family. What else is there to do in Amman? We go out, we eat. I also do a lot of writing. I'm hoping to release an ebook very soon, and that's kind of like a casual diary from way back when, and that keeps me stress-free as well.
Okay, so going back to the work side of the thing, according to what qualifications do you choose your team members, or in other words, what characteristics qualify someone to work in journalism?
Okay, so in addition to me having a degree in pharmacy and never using that, you'd be surprised how many people kind of have the same jumpy background. So we're just looking for people who are dedicated, honest, sincere, who enjoy research, who are articulate, who can kind of create a bridge between the magazine and the audience by coming up with a language that is communicable, that is personable, that is user-friendly. There's also like an unwritten quality. There's like a sparkle in a person's eye that either catches you or it doesn't. So we've had brilliant writers who were just awful to work with because they were rude or pushy or unflexible. And then we have like smiley, more easygoing people who are just so easy to work with and make all the difference.
Instead, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm a person interested in literature, so my question is going to be in that regard.
Okay.
You just mentioned that you have been engaged in fiction writing and publishing.
Yes.
And we know that you have written a collection of short stories.
Yes.
Chronicles of Beauty. Can you tell us more about this experience and how it was met internationally and locally?
Oh, well, still no internationally because unfortunately, no matter how much you try to improve yourself and work on certain aspects of your life, I remain technologically challenged. So the actual figuring out of how to like get it on certain formats has been a bit of a challenge. But back to the book. So the Chronicles of Baradi was actually how I decided to join the magazine. I was called in by two older women at the time, and they said they wanted to write they wanted a column about how single girls rolled in Amman. And they called me in thinking that I'm, the single girl who rolls. And they had all of these stereotypes that were just so insulting to women and men who are like single, about how people dress a certain way or act a certain way. And I created a column that shows that, everyone has a story and everyone's story matters. And I mixed it in with a bit of fashion, and there are a couple of characters in there. Some of them are true, some of them are false, and we'll never tell. And it's been like, alhamdulillah, like very successful. So for the ebook, I've just basically been rewriting some of those columns because I wrote them a long time ago and there were words in there like communicator and mixtape, which you guys don't use or do anymore. So I'm just kind of updating it and working on that.
Do you expect to make a future career of fiction writing?
A friend of mine told me that if you're ever in writing for the money, then don't do it. So, like, I could make it a passion project, but I don't know if it would actually ever pay the bills. Yet. It's close. Thank you.
Excuse me, but we will now open for questions and answers with the audience.
Sure.
ابراهيم غنيم صفحه شيخ تنبيه اوكي هلا بيحكوا انه السيلز انه بتبيعي الارتكل الماجازين نفسها هي المين سورس اوف انكم صح؟
Yes.
هلا التكنولوجيا كثير زادت فهذا بيشكل مشكله انه عشان بيع وريدنج وستيل ماجازينز وبيبرز وهيك.
No, you see, well, what you have to do is when we went online, we also made sure that we had plenty of opportunities for people to invest with us online. So the same way we sell ad space in a print magazine, we also have ad space on our websites. Another way we can help generate income for the website is ممكن يكون one of the articles is paid for by the client. So let's say, I don't know, see like the St. Regis Hotel. Let's say we come up with an article that's top 10 reasons why we like the St. Regis Hotel. This would be for online use only, and it would probably be paid for by the hotel itself instead of just created in the hotel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Shadia, class 10C. I was wondering if the magazine offered an internship program for people who are interested in pursuing creative writing.
Okay, well, yes, we do have alhamdulillah, a very impressive internship program at Living Well. Fortunately, it's very competitive. So as a general rule, most students have to have at least 1 or 2 years under their belt of university time. We normally collaborate with Columbia University, we collaborate with Princess Sumaya University. We have a couple of universities in the West Coast and a couple in England. We'd like to accommodate more. We strongly believe that it's part of our CSR, but we're currently working on restructuring the office, and literally, we have no office space. So if we can figure out that issue before summer, inshallah, send me an email. Our doors are but it's tough. Just saying that.
Okay, I have a question for you. Do you have some final advice to give to those who consider journalism as their career?
Okay, so if you're looking for a career in journalism, the first thing I would say is you really need to like lose the ego. Writing a compelling, winning article is kind of like training for the Olympics. People will keep on editing and asking you to rewrite and critiquing your work until they get it right. So anyone who has like problems with like accepting that kind of criticism probably shouldn't invest their time in journalism. Another thing that I've noticed with journalism is that sometimes people come in and they're very passionate about ideas and make a lot of sense to them, but don't really make a lot of sense to the market or are not really well researched. So we had a writer come in a few years ago who said, I want to write an article about how Jordan still condones capital punishment. Basically, إنه كيف الأردن لسه ماشية مع قانون الإعدام. So we looked into that and we researched it because the whole idea of his article was to make us out to be this angry, unreasonable, totally irrational country that still believes in capital punishment. When you look at it closely, the law actually states that نحن الأردن تتبع الشريعة, which is, like some people ممكن ينحكم عليهم بالإعدام, but it actually hasn't happened for the past 10 years. No one has been put like under. So he wanted to come in and he had this fierce vision, and then we had to kind of tone it down for him. Another thing is, so like journalism is a great career. It's very rewarding because you have to put in the time and you have to put in the effort. You're going to have to go to a lot of events. You have to be pushy. You have to make sure that you get that interview before someone else's, and you have to make sure that you have the style to keep your interviewee engaged, to get them to give you the right answers, to give you the right responses.
Baradi, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me.